Welcome to the hottest movie review on the internet today, the A-List Review. I'm your host, the Game Changer, Wes Troop, and this week I'm here with 4 new reviews. The only one that came out this week in theaters, Avengers Age of Ultron, as well as 3 on DVD and Blu-ray, The Gambler starring Mark Wahlberg, a film I just recently found on Netflix called God Help the Girl, and also a review I was asked to do, being the original 1987 RoboCop. Let's kick it off with one of the most anticipated movies of the year, my review of Avengers Age of Ultron, coming up now. Earth's mightiest heroes assemble once again to stop a new foe. Tony Stark decides to create an artificial intelligence to bring peace to the world. Once the AI goes online, however, he has a different idea of peace, like clearing the planet of all humans and starting over with all machines. The Avengers are soon turned against each other as their minds are meddled with, but will have to band together in order to face Ultron and stop his evil plan. So what did I think of the Avengers Age of Ultron? I thought it's an amazing action comic book movie sequel. The action kicks off in the first minute, setting up what's to come. The scene where Iron Man suits up in his Hulkbuster armor to go one-on-one with the Hulk is a blast. And the final battle scene is up there with the best in the genre. All of the scenes in between the fighting are all meaningful and important and don't just waste time. I thought the tone seemed darker here than the first Avengers film, and it seems like all bets may be off who comes out of the fray. There are quite a bit of laughs and funny banter between the heroes, though, especially in the first half, which was the most I've laughed in theaters so far this year. I really enjoyed getting some more insight on Hawkeye and Black Widow, as we get to see a little bit more of their backstories and home life. There's also an interesting new romance between 2 of the heroes, and a surprise or 2 you may not see coming. The Avengers roster is building, and there's a good amount of characters here, but it's set up right and doesn't feel overstuffed, like some other superhero movies out there. Spider-Man 2! Amazing Spider-Man 2, I should say. The cast stars Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark / Iron Man, whose plan for peace backfires big time. Chris Evans as Steve Rogers / Captain America, the Star-Spangled Avenger, mad at Tony for not letting him in on his experiment. Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner / the Hulk, the Green Guy worried about the destruction he's been causing. Chris Hemsworth as Thor, the God of Thunder, distracted by what he thinks might be going down back at Asgard. Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff / the Black Widow, who begins showing her feelings a little more. Jeremy Renner as Clint Barton / Hawkeye, the Team Archer who's holding back a few secrets of his own, and Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, the former director who's gone into hiding since the destruction of S.H.I.E.L.D. New to the series are my girl, Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, a young woman with mind control powers, Aaron Taylor Johnson as Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch's brother who has super speed, James Spader as Ultron, the artificial intelligence who wants to take over the world, and Paul Bettany as Vision, Tony's former Jarvis program who's put into a powerful body and hopes that he can stop Ultron. There is a mid-credits scene afterwards, but not one at the very end. I think a clip of Rick Astley would have been great in that spot. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. Personally, I think I enjoyed the first team up more, but Avengers Age of Ultron will easily be one of my favorite films of the year. I'm gonna give it the rating of A-List approved. Second of the year, by the way. It gets the A-List seal of approval. Yeah, I really enjoyed this film, as I knew I would. Like I said, I think I liked the first Avenger movie more just because it was the first of its kind, at least for the Marvel universe. You know, it was such build-up. You know, we saw Captain America and Iron Man and Thor and Hulk, and then they finally all came together in one movie, and Black Widow, of course, and Hawkeye. So it was just, you know, so much build-up for that. But and now it seems like, oh, well, we've seen it before, but it's still cool. It's still really cool. Like I said, this seems like a pretty much darker. I think this was sort of like Whedon's attempt at like an Empire Strikes Back type thing, since Empire was darker than the first Star Wars. but it's still a lot of fun. It's a good movie. If you're a fan of the Marvel Universe, I don't think you'll be very disappointed. Alright, and that was the only new theatrical release this week, because no one else is brave enough to go against that, and why do you really blame them? So, my next review is a film that came out on DVD and Blu-ray this week. I saw it back in December. We're reviewing it now. It stars Mark Wahlberg. It is The Gambler. An English professor by day, a high-stakes gambler by night. Jim Bennett is in deep, and then we see him get in even deeper. He's given a week to deliver all the money he owes to different gangs of dangerous men, but will he make good or just gamble it all away? So what did I think of The Gambler? I thought it's a satisfying drama. It's inspired by the 1974 film of the same name, which starred James Caan. If anything, watching this film should scare you away from the big money tables in the casino. We find out as the movie goes on, the character doesn't really care about what happens to him, and he borrows thousands from different loan sharks, and then at the snap of a finger just gambles it away in front of them. However, when people he cares about get threatened, he begins to worry. Our protagonist not only suffers from a gambling problem, but also depression, which he makes clear to his students. Some of the interactions between the professor and students are great stuff, as are the exchanges between Jim and the bosses. Mark Wahlberg does some of his best work as Jim Bennett, the professor who needs to come up with a slew of money or face the consequences. Impressive yet again is Brie Larson as Amy Phillips, one of Jim's best students, who finds out about his other life. Larson is quickly becoming one of my favorite actresses, and I expect big things for her in the near future. Also included John Goodman as Frank, an imposing gangster Jim gets involved with, Michael K. Williams as Neville Barca, another lender who wants his money, Jessica Lange as Roberta, Jim's mom who's worried about his problems, and Anthony Kelly as Lamar Allen, Jim's student, a big-name basketball player who gets unwillingly involved. The Gambler is always entertaining and keeps you guessing what's going to happen next. It's worth taking a chance on. I'm going to give it the rating of do it. Yeah, I know there's a few people that didn't really care for this movie, but I saw it back when it came out around Christmas, and I thought it was fine. I had no problems with it. I enjoyed it. I was surprised at some of the stuff that, his gambling and whatnot, and I'm a Wahlberg fan for most of the part, and I really like Brie Larson, so I had no problems with this movie. I thought it's a good watch. This next film that I'm going to review is a movie I stumbled across on Netflix, or it's one of those movies, if you see it at Redbox, you're like, what the heck is this thing? It stars one of my fave actresses, Emily Browning, so I always have to check out all of her stuff, whether it be good or not. So, we'll see where this one comes in. This is my review of God Help the Girl. A young wannabe musician sneaks out of a psychiatric hospital where she's being treated for anorexia. She attends a show of local bands and meets a singer who had a falling out with his drummer on stage. Along with one of his friends, the group forms a band. So what did I think of God Help the Girl? I thought it's an odd indie musical drama. When the film starts, Emily Browning's character croons, and she leaves the hospital and even dances in the street in the musical number. At this point, I was down for this, and I thought it was going to be quite a theatrical experience. After this, though, the music is heard and shown in bizarre montages, which are more like a collection of music videos strung together by a story. Speaking of the plot, there are some warm and honest moments, but it's mostly old hat. The guy and girl end up becoming a team as he could use her songwriting expertise. Soon after, they realize they need a few more band members and begin to recruit. The two leads have a somewhat awkward relationship as he likes her, but she likes someone else. What is that? You love her, but she loves him, and he loves somebody else. Yeah, love stinks. As in most bands, we see some of their unhappier moments as well, as they fight over one of the members going off to college. The film was written and directed by Stuart Murdoch of the indie bands Belle and Sebastian, who were part of the group God Help the Girl. Emily Browning, one of my favorite ladies, stars as Eve, the songwriter struggling with weight problems who finds new relationships and friendships with her bandmates. As I've said before, Browning has a lovely voice, and it's always a pleasure to hear when she has her musical parts. Tweet me, girl. Also in the cast, Ali Alexander as James, a lifeguard and also an inspiring songwriter, Hannah Murray as Cassie, James' friend and guitar student, and Pierre Boulanger as Anton, the singer of the Wobbly-Legged Rat, who becomes involved with Eve. I think it could have been a little easier to swallow at an hour and a half, but at almost 2 hours, the runtime drags and sometimes becomes hard to sit through. While it will most likely appeal to a niche audience, I felt God Help the Girl is more of a self-promotion vehicle for its director that happens to have a story to it. I'm going to give it the rating of meh. You know, it's okay. This is, yeah, as I said, this was an odd movie. I was just sort of like, oh boy. If you're not in the right audience for this, this could be an excruciating experience. I only watched it for Emily Browning. Just throwing that out there, because I'm a fan. But, like I said, I like her singing. I think she's very talented. I think she's underrated. I think ever since, Sucker Punch and Pompeii, which weren't exactly big hits, but I still enjoyed them, she's had a little more trouble finding roles that are big screen. That's why she's had quite a few straight-to-DVD movies. But I think she'll bounce back. But the other girl, Hannah Murray, I did not enjoy her singing at all. I thought it was like nails on a chalkboard. I'm sorry, Hannah. It reminded me of Cameron Diaz and Annie. And I'm just like, holy crap, put Emily Browning back on singing. And finally, a couple weeks ago, I was asked to review a film for the El Rey Network, which is Robert Rodriguez's network on the internet and on TV, obviously. So they asked me to review and give my thoughts and a lead-in for the 1987 original film, RoboCop. So here's my review. In the near future, after getting killed in the line of duty, the Detroit Police Department decides to bring back the police officer as half man and half machine. His mind is wiped and is programmed to uphold the law. When he begins to have flashbacks of the past, however, he goes out to extract revenge on the people who killed him. So what did I think of RoboCop? I thought it's an enjoyable action film that has become an 80s classic. Before the main storyline of the film begins, we're brought into the world with fake news clips along with commercials setting the movie up. I thought this was an interesting and successful device. The action is all done on a grand scale, complete with explosions, shootouts, and even people flying out of buildings. At the time, it was also one of the most violent and bloody action films to release in theaters. We see the cyborg stop a convenience store robbery, facing a gunman holding hostages, including the mayor, among other crime scenes. The story is also an interesting satire of big businesses. It can also be seen as a dark comedy, as RoboCop delivers some great quips prior to dishing out some pain. The cast stars Peter Weller as Alex Murphy, the officer killed and brought back to life as RoboCop. Also featured Nancy Allen as Ann Lewis, a rookie officer Murphy is teamed up with, Ronnie Cox as Dick Jones, well, that's an unfortunate couple of names, the senior president of Omni Consumer Products, whose droid officer fails during a demonstration, Miguel Ferrer as Bobby Morton, the inventor of the RoboCop design, and Kurtwood Smith, yes, Red Foreman from That 70s Show, as Clarence Boddicker, the head of the criminal gang that offs Murphy. I was totally waiting for him to call someone a dumbass. Dumbass! RoboCop is not just a big blockbuster popcorn flick, but one which is smart and creative. I'm going to give it the rating of do it. Yeah, I enjoyed it more than the reboot or remake that came out last year. it's a lot the same, but this one's more violent because it's rated R, obviously, and the other one was PG-13. A lot of the same ideas. If you've seen the remake and you liked it, then I would say definitely check out the original. If you didn't like the remake, but you like some of the ideas, then definitely check out the original. If, you've never seen it before and you happen to stumble across it somewhere, I would definitely sit down and watch RoboCop. But watch it on the El Rey Network. Alright, well that's the show for this week, peeps. Next week I'll be back with my review of a movie, we're not sure how this one's gonna be. It stars Reese Witherspoon and Sofia Vergara, called Hot Pursuit, as well as whatever the hell else I feel like reviewing. So come back next week and see how that all goes. Until then, don't miss one single A-list second. You can subscribe to me right here on YouTube, youtube.com/westside515. Like me on Facebook, facebook.com/WestTroupeAlist. Follow me on the Twitter @WestAlist and the Instagram @WestAlist. And of course, pick up this little beauty, the A-List Review 2014 Movie Yearbook. Only $10 over 150 reviews. That's how we say it on the streets. So contact me through Facebook or Twitter if you're interested. Until next time, Troop out.